That was an Andre jump scare there, everyone. How's it going? We're back with Pipeline. Can you believe we actually have a YouTube channel to post this to? So we are back, hopefully for good this time. We're joined by Tris, Joey, and Matthew, aka Peach, as well. How are all of you doing today?
Doing well, doing
Doing
well.
pretty well today.
I'm doing great. Glad to have a channel again.
Yeah, that no kidding.
Yeah,
That's a nice to have, isn't it? You don't fully appreciate what you have until it's gone, and it's like, wow, I kind of like having a YouTube channel, so it's good seeing you three. It's good seeing everyone here, including our latest member, Alan Ortiz, I believe.
Ortiz.
Thank you so much for becoming a. Oh, sorry.
Ortiz.
Thanks for joining
Ortiz,
us.
thank you. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel that gets you special benefits like emoji, little icons next to your name, I think. All kinds of cool stuff. So thank you, Alan. Appreciate that. So yeah, it feels good to be back. So just real quick for anyone who missed it, which you may have considering there was no channel for you to have seen things for a while. We got hacked last week. I clicked a dumb link and that just caused a week's worth of hell where our channel was taken over by a bunch of crypto bros. They started streaming on it. They privated every video. At first I thought they deleted everything. So luckily it wasn't quite as bad as it could have been. But after about a day or so, we got the channel back. It seemed like it was all good until YouTube randomly terminated it for 2 full days. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Fortunately, obviously, we got that resolved, even though, it was never a sure thing. Like, I felt pretty good we get it back, but with YouTube, you never know for sure. And thankfully, they were able to resolve things. But let me tell you, that was a scary week. That was a scary week. It's like, wow, my entire life's work going up in smoke instantly.
Good things for backups too.
Yeah, I only have much in the way of backups myself. Like I have, our latest videos rendered, the ones I've done in the last probably 6 months. But beyond that, I've got like nothing. So it would have been all gone.
I've saved every single one of my videos that I've made, even the news videos,
Same
which
here,
I probably.
Joey.
Yeah, which I probably don't even need to save.
Yeah, I'm basically right there with Joey. As like in case I ever need it, I need to have it just in case.
Yeah, see, you're smarter than I am. The problem is, like, I run out of hard drive space, and I'm like, okay, what's the quickest thing to get rid of? Oh, my rendered folder. I won't need that ever again. And the YouTube, almost proved me wrong. Thankfully, they did not.
Man.
So, fingers crossed. But yeah, Chad, it's good to be back here with you. We missed Pipeline last week. Sorry about that, but we're hopefully not going to miss anymore as long as we keep doing these pipelines. So with that, I think let's get to the news, unless there was any chats we wanted to bring up related to that. But I'm not seeing anything, I think. So
I'm just glad everyone was supporting us during that time because it was.
Oh, actually, yes. Thank you, Tris. Yeah, I posted a couple update videos about this when we could, of course. And thanks to everyone for all the support during it. Like, it was a very scary time, but having your kind words and the encouragement through it was a huge help. And a reminder of, why we do this in the first place. Like, without you guys, we wouldn't be here at all. So very much appreciated the support during it and definitely helped. So yeah, it's good to be back for all of you. And speaking of which, Don's in the chat too. I know, Don, sorry you lost your modded role.
Let's keep it that way. We don't need
Wow.
Joey, we are live. Just FYI.
Yes.
All right, let's get to a happy topic real quick, and that I want to start off with. Mostly a happy topic, I think. That is for the Mario Day week, which is kind of a weird thing when you think about it. We have Mario Day, March 10th, hasn't happened yet. We've been getting kind of some announcements throughout the week, and that started or had as part of it, we had a Princess Peach Showtime demo a few days ago. Have we all had a chance to play this yet? Or
yeah, totally.
How about you, Joey?
I played the intro to capture that video, and I'm just like, I don't care about the rest of this game.
I hear you.
I don't know, that was fun.
So yeah, you can see gameplay of it along with myself again as well on the screen right now. Peach, you're obviously a Princess Peach fan, and you just recently reviewed Peach's original game on the channel, being Super Princess Peach.
Yeah.
What did you think of the demo?
I actually was a little confused at first because we had access to 4 doors or 4 passageways, but they weren't accessible. You only had access to 2 of the acts, 2 of the stages. One being for Sword Fighter Peach, and the other being for Patissiere Peach. And the first one was more of a traditional sort of 3D
Beat 'em up.
2.5D platformer sort of thing going on there, whereas the other one was much shorter, like way shorter, with a almost Mario Party-esque kind of feeling to it. You agree, Tris?
Yeah, definitely.
And the latter kind of gets me slightly concerned about how short some of the acts will be. I wasn't so worried about the first one. I understand the game is not meant to be very long overall. It meant just to be fun and accessible to all ages and just everyone basically. We'll see where that goes. It was fun though. Like it wasn't that hard, but it was fun.
I was grateful to see that the levels, they have like a little icon for which transformation you're playing as. So like Sword Fighter Peach, the level was like Sword-1, which kind of makes me happy because that I feel like that means majority of these, if not all of these, are going to have more than one level where you actually play as it. And
right.
I kind of like how even the Patissier one that felt a bit more minigame like, there's still objectives. Like there's still things to collect. Like there's actually a lot of collectibles in this game, way more than I was expecting. But I guess now that it sounds like it's made by Goodfeel, I guess that makes sense. It does kind of have the collectathon aspect that like the Yoshi games in recent years have had.
Right.
So it definitely is neat how there's like a lot to collect as you go through.
It being a Goodfeel game makes so much sense. I don't know why that thought hadn't even occurred to me before. It's like, of course, this is a Goodfeel game. It's all falling into place. So yeah, I played the whole demo a couple of times actually on the stream. Very cute game, like great animation, some performance issues, but that aside, like it has a great, good attention to detail, really cute. I don't know if I would actually play this if it weren't for work. I'm going to be honest. This game is so basic that there isn't much, if any, depth to it based on what I've seen. Now, maybe it'll get more complicated later on, especially as you get to, I assume, like Sword Fighter -2, Sword Fighter -3, maybe. But the controls are so simple. It's effectively, at most, a 2-button game.
Yeah.
And those 2 buttons do literally everything to the extent that they're even like your counters or your parries or whatever. And I was doing like moves. I'm like, did I trigger that? Like, I was trying to jump, but here she's like, doing loop-de-loops and everything to like counter a whole boss. And I'm like, I felt like this game's playing itself at this point. Interestingly enough, Peach, actually, the second chapter, the shorter one, where you're the baker or whatever,
was a little harder.
That one's harder. Even though like it seems simpler, that's actually the more complicated one.
It was. And mind you, that comes from me as one who has actually done 3D modeling and everything. Like this is still complicated by comparison. But I think overall, the game is just meant to be very accessible, and you can't really fault it for that. It's not going to be for everyone, just like the Peach's first adventure is not going to be for everyone. Which is kind of funny because the original was more based on Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Kirby, and had a lot going on for what it was. Had a lot going on for it, and here is like this is a completely different approach to how to do an adventure for Peach. And I think this is going to be like tying into a lot of the direction that Nintendo and also Illumination Studios want to take Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, Rosalina, Pauline, and a lot of that in counter to Disney. So we're going to see a lot of that, I believe. And this is part of why it opened this opportunity to give Peach another chance at having the starring role. So that's my perspective on this.
Yeah, I think you brought some good points here. I mean, for one, I do think this is one of the clear times when Nintendo's very clearly targeting a younger demographic, in my opinion at least. Maybe the game changes later on, but it really feels like they are aiming younger here, like not too unlike the typical Goodfeel games, but I think even perhaps more so in this case. But also I think you are right that I think the Mario movie actually has been kind of like has shifted Nintendo's direction or focus with Mario to an extent, but especially some of the characters like Peach now, where they are trying to make her a more active protagonist, and even coming down to the presentation in some respects. Of course, she is more active here. She's dressing up as multiple types of characters, which is cool. But in addition, we actually have some brand new voice samples for her, and it didn't trigger me. I rather it didn't. I shouldn't say that. It didn't. It didn't
register
stand
for
out
you?
to me in the trailers. But playing the game, I'm like, this doesn't really sound like the Peach I know, or the one that we know from the games. And I think that's probably both deliberate and also probably totally fine, because I think they are, again, kind of skewing closer to the movie, where, you know, the Princess Peach of the movie was a little bit more vocal and had more agency. And I think that's kind of what they're aiming for here, like not a subdued Peach, but a more active, like, here I am type Peach, not to take Daisy's catchphrase.
Right.
I saw a comment on the intro video. I think it said something like, "Oh man, they really did Peach Sonic Frontiers style," because people because people for some reason, when the trailers for Frontiers came out, they were like, "Oh my gosh, Roger Craig Smith sounds a little bit deeper as Sonic. Are we getting a more serious Sonic game?" And all he said in the trailer was, "Amy." It's so funny how people come to these conclusions.
I mean, that is a good point. But I have seen some people pick up on the fact that it seemed like the voice direction for Frontiers was different than the previous 3D Sonic games, right? Would you
It was, and for no reason to me, at least.
It did seem a little weird, a little out of place comparatively, but yeah. So I wonder if Nintendo's doing something different here. We've already seen them update the box art for the game to give Peach a little bit more of a movie-like look to her, and
Now that we have the movie depiction of Peach specifically, where it contrasts heavily with, let's say, a recent example that was re-released a few years ago, too many years ago now at this point, Mario Sunshine Peach. No dialogue from Peach sounds natural in that game, unfortunately, because of the way her voice is delivered.
Right.
And that's why for so long her voice was largely kept to short sentences or calling out specific things. So I actually think this new direction lets Peach exist as a character that can talk more. And I think that's good.
Yeah.
You're going to say something.
I was going to say, Mac User 2 says that Sword Fighter Peach is totally Princess Knight. For those who don't know who Princess Knight is, she's a creation from manga artist. I'm sorry, it just blanked out. No, not the manga artist that we're thinking of, but Tezuka. So the one who was known for the Mighty Atom, or what's the American name for Mighty Atom?
I don't remember.
Not sure.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Very iconic, and one of the first female protagonists in manga. So, good reference. Definitely suggest checking that out. And yes, there are a lot of parallels between Sword Fighter Peach and that. Good job.
Yeah, Tris, to get back to your point, I think Sunshine's an interesting comparison, because I would say Sunshine's almost Peach at one of her lowest moments in terms of being a character, where she's just a complete idiot. She's a complete nothing of a character, exists purely as a MacGuffin, which has been the case for much of her career. But it was especially pronounced in that case, where it's like, that was an awkward time in Nintendo's history where they were trying to make things more cinematic to an extent, like they're experimenting with cutscenes, and it just wasn't quite working. They didn't fully know what to do with all the characters at that point. So it's fun to see now, a little over 20 years later, that the character's finally evolving. Again, largely seemingly thanks to the Mario movie, because I feel like that really kind of forced Nintendo to sit down and think, what is this world? Who are these characters? And what do we want them to be, right? And especially with just how time has progressed since the 80s and all that. It's like, maybe it's time that Princess Peach is more than just a helpless, a damsel in distress. So
Peach versus sour grape.
and even beyond that too. I mean, just because we have Peach more expressive here doesn't mean we won't have games where she's still, excitedly cheering and sounding very bubbly in her voice. This doesn't mean that's going away. I think one thing to keep in mind is Peach is kind of going into all these different roles here. It's almost like an actress taking on these different roles. She's going to perform it differently. And I think that's just more so Peach getting into the part for all of these. And I think that's okay, because I think these can coexist. This does not immediately erase all the other depictions of Peach. It just means she's broadening what we know Peach to be. And I think that's part of what the point of this game is.
Leo says, what a coincidence. I just played Princess Peach Showtime demo today, and I love it. It's surprisingly good and can't wait for the full release of it. So yeah, it seems like the game, I think it's definitely going to hit for some people. And the thing is, too, we've only seen, a fifth of the game at this point in terms of the gameplay possibilities with all the costumes. But there's 10 costumes, right?
Yep.
So maybe the others will be more more engaging for some people who maybe weren't sold on the 2 we've seen so far. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how that gameplay evolves throughout the game, if it hopefully does.
Right. There was a comment that stuck out to me that you highlighted briefly, Andre. Charging $60 for this game is criminal, or something along those lines. And from what it sounds like, that's kind of seems like where I'm at here. Everything about this game sounds very simple. I should probably play it for myself to really get like an idea of it.
Yeah.
But everything I'm hearing, it sounds like this game is just fine at best, and it kind of feels like it's reflective of what Nintendo's been like this year so far. What with Mario vs. Donkey Kong, $50 very safe remake, then Princess Peach Showtime, a $60 seems kind of like a baby game to be like overly blunt, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at here with this game.
Out of curiosity, were just because I don't remember, do we know if there were like similar complaints with like the Yoshi games, like Yoshi's Woolly World or Crafted World?
I hope not, because Woolly World was incredible.
Yes, Woolly World was usually more liked than Crafted World, I think.
Okay.
Oh, so much better than Crafted
but,
World.
Yeah.
But I mean, along the lines of like too easy or charging too much for what the games are, because I mean, it is the same creators. So
I felt like both games at least had a sizable amount of content at the very least for their price. I understand Woolly World is probably a bit on the shorter end. Crafted World, excuse me, I never beat that game because it just wasn't Woolly World, but I got pretty far in it, and because it wasn't that great. But yeah, it still had quite a amount of content, and who's to say maybe this game also has the same amount? It's hard to tell based on a 2-hour if that demo.
No, it's like a half an hour demo.
Oh, really? Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you were streaming I was basing it on your stream, but you said you played it multiple times, right?
I went back, tried to get all the stars, so that does add replay value. I did overlook some of the stars, and even in that, even going through a second time, still wasn't able to get all of them in the freaking cake making challenge or whatever. It's difficult. So maybe I shouldn't be complaining about difficulty when I can't even grab all the freaking stars. So, but yeah, like I said, we haven't seen it. I still don't have a fully great grasp on how this game's all fitting together. So I need to see a little bit more of it before, I can assess whether it's like worth the price or not.
Right.
But I will say at the least, the presentation is good, minus the frame rate hiccups. Like, it's a great looking game. Love the animation. And also the fact you can slide down the banisters. Come on.
Yes, I love that. That's such a
right.
That perfectly encapsulates how charming this game really is. Like, the presentation in this game is like really, really good, and there's just like there's little things like that add to it that don't really do anything, but just add to the charm of it all.
Yeah, lots of charm.
Do have a good track record overall.
You might say they have they give you a good feeling about everything. Real quick, Alan Martiz, once again, our newest member, commenting, "What's up, Game Explained?" and you're welcome. I loved emoji. I'm glad to be part of the YouTube member of the channel. Well, thank you so much, Alan. It's good to have you. We really appreciate it. So, all right,
enjoy the early access videos.
That's right. We have a couple, at least one or two back there now. I'll have another one coming up, I hope today. So stay tuned for that. So, all right, let's move on to our next story here. This one isn't actually new news, but a lot of people just found out about it. And that is the fact, if you're a fan of the Wii, you can get basically the Wii on your phone in terms of the OS. So, Joey, you covered this, and I've been playing around with it too. What did you think of this? Like, tell us more about the Wii phone.
It's way too good. It's just like, why did they put so much detail into this? It feels like it's made by Nintendo. Like, it perfectly emulates the Wii menu, and all these custom animations that you're seeing, like with like that Fallout Shelter, we'll see that in a bit, and the Super Mario Run, like here, that just looks absolutely incredible. And those were that's user generated content too. It is fascinating. It really is. I played with it for maybe like an hour, maybe 2 hours just to put this video together. And I'm very impressed with what they were able to accomplish here. I forget the name of the person or the people who made this software, but hats off to them, man. It's absolutely incredible. And there's a way to make it. I haven't done this, but there's a way to make this like your default like launcher on your Android device. It's not an iPhone. It probably never will be, but yeah. So if you really want to make yourself a Wii phone, dude, you got it right here, and it's free. It's insane.
Hopefully Nintendo won't go after this.
Yeah, no kidding. Apparently it's been around for 2 years, and a lot of people only started catching on recently.
Yeah, I'm sure those 2 years were a lot of different like testing they went through, like field testing to make sure everything runs smoothly. Maybe that's just my assumption, and we're only just hearing about it like now because for one, a lot of look at all this stuff that other users have made. That
Mhm.
Discord banner, I'm sure like those were made over the past 2 years. It's really fascinating.
On that note, Joey, one of the people who made some of the animations that you actually showcased in the video is a another creator called Julie It's Me, who's actually
Oh,
also a longtime fan of Game Explain. We
oh
covered some of
wow.
their creations from Game Builder Garage. So everything
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen them make is incredible. So yeah, they actually commented on the video, Joey, and thanked us for showing off some of their animations. So
Oh well, I'm
Nice.
happy to do that. Thank you for being awesome and artistic. Share your gift with the world.
yeah,
Man,
seriously. But
seeing
yeah, this go ahead, Russ.
I was gonna say, just seeing this like blew me away. Like it's such a cool
Right?
idea, but seeing specifically like the me channel on that made me go, man, I miss Mitomo.
Yes, I miss Miiverse too.
Yeah.
I know,
Mhm.
especially whenever Twitter goes down. Where's Miiverse when you need it? Um,
Yes.
yeah, no, this thing is freaking awesome. I've been playing around with it a bit myself, and just so people know, like this is not like a hack or anything. It's just a straight up app on the Android Play Store. It's free. It's so easy to download. It takes seconds, and then you're basically set to go. Minus if you want to add like any custom stuff or like your own apps, which does take a little bit longer.
Right.
And other than my phone started ringing during that too. Great
Oh,
timing.
I was wondering what that noise was.
Yeah,
I should probably mute mine.
wasn't the Wii ringtone, unfortunately.
Yeah,
That's
I
and
should
then
mute mine.
and then as Joe was saying, you can make it your actual launcher on Android too, which is freaking sick. So if you love it, you can just make it basically your phone. So
Mm.
such a cool thing.
It really is.
All right, are you guys all going to download this if you haven't already, or?
I am gonna
I
check it
actually
out
may
this
check it
weekend.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric says,
Cool.
or Nick Flapjack says, it reminds me of the Nook phone design app a couple years back, though not as in depth. I didn't even know there was a Nook phone version. That's cool.
That is so cool. What? Now I need to look that up. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's my flapjack.
This is totally unrelated, but Flapjack reminded me of it. I was thinking about how Animal Crossing New Horizons is all about, like, seemingly all about getting away from society, going back to your roots, right? Starting a town from nothing, and then you immediately get saddled with like a cell phone, like immediately right out of the gate. It's like, hey, you remember all all the nonsense that phones can bring? Here you go.
Yeah.
Maybe Nintendo saw like all those like polls online of like if you were stranded on a deserted island, what would you bring? And maybe they saw most people chose their phone.
Yeah, maybe that could have been it. So
No reception.
all right, well, let's move on to another story. This one, quite a bit sadder, and that's the fact that the creator of Dragon Ball and multiple other, or one of the artists for multiple series, including Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, and more, Akira Toriyama has sadly passed away as of yesterday, and I've not seen my timeline taken over completely by one story like I have with this. It clearly touched a lot of people. A very sad moment, and he was especially because he was pretty young, like only in his 60s. So
68, I believe.
yeah, which is not that old.
Yeah, it says right there on the page.
Yeah, I could maybe if I would read that.
It is really sad. Like I'm not a huge Dragon Ball fan. I've only seen like a couple of movies. But there's no denying like his impact on just pop culture in general.
Mhm.
And it also carried over into video games. Like he made some of the most iconic designs of all time. Like, what's the name of that Dragon Quest blue drop thing? I forget the name of
the slime.
The slime. He made the slime, and that's not even like what he's most well known for. Like, it's just he was incredibly talented as an artist. You could tell whenever he designed something, right? Because he had that signature look to it. Like if the characters looked like it was from Dragon Ball, it was probably him who designed those characters. But yeah, just very sad. He was definitely way too young, and kind regards to his family going through a tough time.
And you're right about how much impact he had in pop culture in general, though. I mean, Dragon Ball is like, people that don't know anime know the name Dragon Ball. Like people that barely watch things know the name Dragon Ball.
It's like one of the first animes, it's one of the most widely spread first animes that people in the West know. Yeah,
exactly. But like the cultural impact of not even just that, but like everything he's worked on. I mean, you in the past 24 hours, you've been seeing a bunch of people come forward talk about ways they were inspired by his art, his stories. Like apparently, like I learned as we were setting up for Pipeline, apparently the relationships between certain characters in various game media were inspired by character relationships in Dragon Ball. So it really says a lot, honestly.
Straight up.
It does, yeah. I mean, so many of the characters are just iconic. I mean, for me in particular, I always go back to Chrono Trigger. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
it's just instantly iconic. Which have stood the test of time for what 3 decades nearly now, and people and it's made such an impact that people are still asking for more from that series. You know, and yeah, that's one that actually stands out to me the most. That's probably the one I'm most familiar with personally, beyond Dragon Ball. And yeah, it's just and especially in that game's case, dude, that was such a dream team of creators. Like it's so rare you get that perfect matchup of everyone, you know, firing on all cylinders, bringing their very best to create something that perhaps can never be created again or at any other time, which is, you know, fitting given this Chrono Trigger game all about time.
Yeah.
We got a comment from on a video of ours that was uploaded how many years ago? I don't even know. But it was all of Dragon Quest Heroes victory pose animations in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Brave Scholarlies says this hits so much different now. Rest in peace, Akira Toriyama, the legend.
Yep.
So yeah, it really is just impactful that our, like, for one, just our old videos are getting those comments because people are just grieving this talented artist.
I was looking for an example of what I mentioned too, and I just found the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 designer, Yasushi Yamaguchi, celebrated Toriyama with like a little drawing of Sonic and Tails, and noted it was what was it? It was the relationships between characters in Dragon Ball that made Sonic and Tails have the friendship relationship they have in the Sonic series. That's huge, and that like perfectly encapsulates just how much reach this has had.
Let's not forget Supersonic.
Yeah, that's true too.
Right up. Right up. Super Saiyan. Yeah, I mean that's another great point. Like, yeah, the impact that this one individual has had cannot be understated. Like a massive impact across not just anime, but a ton of different fields. You know, including gaming, as Joey was just saying. So yeah, truly a massive loss for like the entire art scene, or gaming scene. Many scenes is my point.
Entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a new game coming out, Sandland, which I think is based on one of his manga too. I could be totally wrong, but
I think so.
Yeah, and that's coming out next month, I believe. So yeah, some more of his work to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah,
indeed. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to a more lighter topic, I suppose. And that brings us to our topical freeze segment, where we slow things down a little bit to discuss something a little bit more in depth, not necessarily tied to any hot gaming news, though in a sense this is, because it was recently the Switch's 7th anniversary, which means we are now in the 8th year of the Nintendo Switch, which is freaking wild. We're almost 10 years into this system, and we still have no official confirmation of a successor. Obviously, there have been lots of rumblings, lots of reports, as there have been for a while now, but it seemingly is building to a head. But yeah, we are now in this console's 8th year. Do you think we would ever reach this point when the Switch first launched back in 2017?
Not at all. I did not think it would last this long. Like, even when it was still doing well in its like 5th or 6th year, I was like, we're seeing the new Switch soon. The Switch 2. I didn't buy a Switch OLED because I knew we were going to see a Switch 2 soon. Still not here. Insane.
Yeah, it's wild, honestly, thinking that this much time has passed, and the Switch is incredible. Frankly, it's actually had like an incredible run over these past 7+ years now. But it's wild to think about that. This is now like the longest that a single Nintendo console has really kept around for.
Like a home console, because I know their handhelds have lasted a very long time, but this is like a handheld home console, whatever you want to call it, right? I remember that. Let's take a flashback down memory lane 7 years ago. I remember people complaining, or not complaining, but like saying like, okay, Nintendo calls this a handheld home console. Let's be real, it's just a handheld that you can hook up to your TVs. That's serious, bro. I'm just like, no, sir, you're underselling how impressive this system is. And yeah, what are you gonna say, Peach?
It's kind of like the effect of the Nintendo DS, which Nintendo wanted to be as a third tier. they did not want it to be the successor of the Game Boy Advance, and yet people treat it as such, and they had to respond accordingly.
Yep.
Yep.
I feel like they said the same thing about the Switch too. They were like, it's
Yeah,
gonna
they
be
didn't
the
want it to
3DS.
replace the 3DS.
They were like, it's got the 3DS, Wii U, Switch, and then what do you know? The Switch became all three of those pillars. Like,
Yeah, I think
people immediately stopped caring about anything else.
Yeah, I think what they say publicly is different from, of course, what they're hoping for internally. It's
course.
just them hedging their bets. It's like, if the
Yeah.
Switch is a complete failure, then we can, pivot back to the 3DS and make a true successor to that.
I
That's
do
very
think
possible.
the 3DS was intended to stick around for a bit, but I think the 3DS sales just dipped so far down after the Switch came out.
Yeah.
Because they were still making 3DS games for at least another year afterwards, like
It
releasing
was like
them for at
2
least another year.
years.
Yeah. Like,
They
it was like
released
2 years,
Luigi's.
so-
They released Luigi's Mansion on 3DS like a month before Luigi's. Actually, no, I could be totally wrong about that. It was like a year before.
It was a
Luigi's
year
Mansion
before.
3. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still like they clearly believed in it for a while, and I think it was just the amount of sales these things were getting. They decided like, yeah, it's we can't keep both up, so we're gonna unfortunately stop the 3DS and go all in on the Switch. It's unfortunate the way the 3DS and Wii U are ending at the same time, despite the 3DS going on a bit longer in that case. But I think it is still wild to look at the success story that the Switch is. When year one, while people were excited about it, there was actually a lot more doom and gloom about its future. People thought this thing would have been as much of a flop as the Wii U was, maybe slightly better.
Hilarious. That they
You know
thought
who didn't think that, Tris? You know who we all should have listened to? Of course, the wisest people, GameStop. They apparently predicted this. They said Nintendo Switch sales could eclipse the Wii. They said this on March 20th, 2017.
Wow.
Clearly,
my gosh.
we haven't quite reached that point yet, but we are very close to the Switch, where it actually could legitimately become. There's a chance of it becoming the best-selling console of all time. It's still, I think, 20 million away or something like that.
less than that, I think.
Yeah, it's not that far. So apparently, GameStop knew something. they knew something about this. So credit to them. But yeah, I mean, I think looking back, it really is impressive what the Switch did, and I think it was like a little undersold what it accomplished. Although at the same time too, Nintendo was such a unique position in that I've said this before, they are legitimately the only ones that got pulled this off, because it almost worked to the benefit that the Wii U was a failure, and Nintendo was purposely targeting lower spec systems at that time, because they were able to make a true successor to the Wii U while still being more powerful, and now in a handheld form. Like, that is incredible, and no one else could have done that. Xbox couldn't have done it, PlayStation couldn't have done it, but it would have been perceived as a huge step back for them, whereas Nintendo was an evolution, and they got so lucky in that sense. So it really almost really worked out for them that the Wii U failed as it did.
Though.
Sorry, what?
No Street Pass.
No Street Pass.
No Street Pass.
Hopefully for the
Bummer.
next one. Hopefully.
Maybe that's what's weighing them
Chris,
down.
Man, so there was on March 3rd, 2024, when the 7th anniversary went down, there was 2 parties I saw on social media. There was the, oh man, the system's so great, it's so awesome, congratulations Nintendo. And there's another party, specifically I'm thinking about a tweet from Shinobi602 where he said in a GIF form, throw the damn towel. Meaning it's time to move on from the Switch. So I want to ask the panel here today, on the 7th anniversary of the Switch, 7th anniversary week, whatever, are you kind of in that same ballpark, or are you just like, no, I can keep playing my Switch for another year or so? I don't really care about this so-called Switch 2 we're talking about.
I think, I definitely understand why everyone's ready for the Switch 2, and I definitely am excited to see that eventually, but I don't feel like I need to put down my Switch and go, all right, just give me the next thing. I don't want to play this anymore. I actively still enjoy playing my Switch regularly. So it's for me, whatever comes next, I'm excited for, but I'm not in a rush to get there. I definitely want to see what it is, but I'm not. This isn't like the Wii U where it's like, okay, we kind of need the next thing because there's not much going on here anymore.
I kind of feel the way you do, Tris.
Mm-hmm.
Not much else to add to it.
That's fair.
I will say I myself don't really care. I'm of course interested to know what the Switch 2 is, and I'll definitely buy it when it comes out. But at this point, I'm one of those odd gamers where I don't play my Switch handheld literally at all. If I can avoid it, I will, because I hate playing games in handheld, or I hate playing console style games in handheld form, and so I'll only play on the TV. And what that means is I'm only playing Switch games basically for Nintendo games. I don't really care about how third-party games run on it because I'll play those on other platforms. I have Xbox, I have PlayStation 5, I have Game Pass, and so when it comes to graphics, like Nintendo's games, they look good enough for me. Like this Princess Peach game, minus the performance issue, still looks really good. So I'm not too eager to change up platforms. Like I feel like for what the Switch is and what it delivers, I'm still content with it. But I know I'm kind of one of the odd ones out there. So
I feel like I'm the odd one out. I've been done with the Switch for like 2 years now. Like I'm just like, let's move on to something newer, better, one system that doesn't make my load times like extremely long, and just the fact that this year, like nothing that's come out.
Oh man, Nintendo Ninjas got to Joey.
No, they
they shut him down.
I don't have a
Ninjas got him.
It just feels like, yo, Nintendo's trying to silence me. Do you hear this?
They are.
Yeah.
Say your piece, Joey.
Somehow it always
Basically,
happens. There's always something Joey's saying that something interrupts it. It's like always related to Nintendo, I feel like. So
that's exactly what's happening. Basically I'm just like, okay, it's time to move on to something new. That's what I'm thinking.
No, I definitely understand that though, because we are definitely like kind of like once we hit around year 5 of the Switch, it did start to get kind of clear where there were certain elements of limitations hitting upon them, like limitations of the hardware, of ideas they want to explore that what the Switch can do isn't quite ready for those things, so they have to scale it back a little bit. Like we've seen Nintendo try to do various open world games, for example, but they don't quite commit to them being fully open world. They're more open zone, and that's mostly because of the Switch technologically, I would say. And I think it allows them to look at things and have creative workarounds to a lot of these ideas. But I do look forward to what Nintendo can do with something that's more powerful than the Switch. Not necessarily, because I know someone's going to say it, not necessarily as powerful as the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and whatnot, because I don't think you could ever get that on a handheld in this day and age. But I do look forward to what the next step will let them do, though, because I think it will definitely surpass the expectations already set from the Switch, and I'm excited about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And despite the optimization of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like with I think Joey was probably focusing on this a lot. The Korok forest, the whole massive lag thing going on in there. Despite all the optimization, it is still difficult to get past that because of all the effects. And that might be one of the concerns about technical limitations. So,
but they did fix that for Tears of the Kingdom, as I recall. Like it ran much better.
Yeah, to a degree,
yeah. That's why, I mean, I feel like Nintendo, for the way Nintendo designs games, I feel like maybe I'm wrong that they haven't been all that held back by what the Switch is. I mean, Tress, you did mention like the open zone games, but Nintendo's also the one that delivered which are arguably the most open world game ever in the form of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, but I think like for example, the shrines, I think is a way to work around that. They have a bunch of things that are separated into different loading zones. Like I think they have their own workarounds where the primary world is still there, but I think it's a little bit different. I think.
Yeah, I think I don't even think about it's funny because I don't even think about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom when I think about like wanting a new, more powerful system, because I feel like those games are just fine on their own. Like I don't like it would be nice to have shorter loading times sometimes, but I don't really run into those often. But when I see games like Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and it's just like I was looking back at a long play. Just to make sure the loading times weren't just as bad as I thought they were when I last played it. They're horrible. It's just like you hit a Goomba and it takes like 10 to 15 seconds to load into a battle. That's just not okay. That's unacceptable. Part of that may be due to optimization, sure, but it's also just like it'd be a lot easier if this game was running on something with more like with a faster storage. Or like even some of my favorite games recently, like Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I want to play that game at 60 frames per second. I just do. Like it's not even that I want these games to have like, I don't know, fancy ray tracing or whatever. I could care less about that. I just want my games to, I don't know, feel faster. Yeah. And that's just not what's happening lately. But also even what doesn't help also is this year, the Switch library output, especially from first parties, has just been mediocre at best. It's just like I'm sure another Code was fine, but I don't really care about that kind of game. And Peach sounds fine but not great, and Mario vs. Donkey Kong, we already been through that song and dance, and it's just like I'm not that excited for the future of the Switch right now. Now it's time to focus on Switch 2 or something. I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure.
but that's a side effect of the Switch 2 probably coming.
Yeah.
If it did, obviously that weren't a factor, then they'd still be making good Switch games.
I just wanted Nintendo to avoid the drought
Yeah.
of like the final year of the console.
I lived through the freaking 64 Wii eras. Like, yeah, those final years were final year especially were rough at times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We're still getting the 1,000-Year Door, even though it is a remake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're not. I wouldn't call it a port. It's like a
And I'm very excited about that one. But
Yeah,
that's gonna
it
be
does
good.
it does technically fit into that. It is something they're releasing to kind of space out what would otherwise be a drought.
They released a Paper Mario game during the last year of the Wii U's life cycle. How funny.
They did,
and that was a good one, darn it!
It
It was a
was a
really
good
good
one.
game.
That's
That was a
actually
fun
one
game.
I hoped they would remake to some degree because clearly no one got a chance to play that one.
Yeah, especially
Yes.
with the seemingly fairly warm reception to Origami King. You know, it's like if you like that, there's a good chance you would like Color Splash, if not possibly more, like I myself do. So,
It still had
I-
its problems, but it was a decent game.
yeah,
for-
if they rework the battle system, especially, I think that would actually be an
Yeah.
excellent game. So
Yes.
that's the biggest
Okay.
flaw against it. Yeah. Anything else about the now? Now that's been 7 years of the Switch, though. What is your standout game for it? If you had to choose one game, what is your defining moment for the Switch?
Oh, you already know what mine is. So it's
it's
it's a
Metroid
Metroid Dread, my guy.
Yeah.
Like that game.
Not Metroid Prime Remastered.
It's so funny, right? I'm to choose between those two. Like I thought, like Metroid Prime Remastered, it's Metroid Prime but prettier. We already knew that game was going to be awesome, but I'm just sitting here thinking, is it possible to make a 2D Metroid game that's just as good, if not better, than Fusion or Super Metroid or whatever? And I think Metroid Dread is the best 2D Metroid game, and it is fantastic. I need to play through it again. It's just so good, man. It's really good.
Man, there's so many games that I would let the spotlight for the Switch, but I think for me it is like Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. You
Right.
know, with Breath of the Wild having been on Switch and Wii U, this was the one that felt like it was like really made for the Switch in every way, shape, and form. And that's the one that I think of first with it, I would say.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Real quick, just we have a chat from a member, Rafe. Hey, how's it going, Rafe? Asking question for Joey: if Nintendo releases Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 3 Remastered, do you think Prime 3 will still have motion controls?
That's such a good question, man. I don't. It's so tough because I can't picture how they would put traditional controls in this game. Like, I'd like at least a workaround for it. Sure, it's just so tough because I know there was a Retro Studios developer who said like that game was so built with motion controls in mind, it'd be tough to translate that to traditional controls. At the very least, there will be motion controls in there, like there is in Metroid Prime Remastered, right? But if it's required, that'd make it a tough sell for people.
Would
for sure.
would they be able to do it in the same way they mapped buttons for Skyward Sword HD?
Probably, I feel like the thing is, it's the Metroid Prime 3 is just pointer heavy more than anything. It's not like Skyward Sword where you're doing all kinds of flips
I
and
see.
stuff with that. It's very much there's pointer based puzzles, there's pointer based everything. That game is heavily pointer based.
In that case, it might be a lot like how Mario Galaxy works in 30.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Or even Skyward Sword when it has a pointer on screen, like when you're aiming the bow and arrow.
You just got to keep hitting R to recalibrate it. every
Yes,
single-
you do.
It's the most annoying thing. All right, Peach, what's your definitive game for the Switch?
Kind of feel like Tris, where it's really hard to make a direct decision on something like that. So I'd have to just go based on how the impact of what I was actually doing on the Switch. For those who might remember, I was deeply involved with Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Whether it be where it stands, compared to New Leaf or any of the past games, is kind of irrelevant. It's just it was so impactful because of the style of the game and the way you're able to customize everything. So it wasn't technically heavy, and especially was running at 30 frames per second, I believe, much like Link's Awakening, which is weird. But it still was what it was, and it was. I wish Nintendo did more with it. It would have actually been really special. And I personally enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom, like quite a lot. I was able to like stick with it for like a month, and which was pretty surprising because I was not able to do that with many other games. And I just
Right.
like because I liked Breath of the Wild so much, and that was a major part of it. And then the whole idea of like I know Joey was having fun with a big stick, so yeah. Doing stuff like that was just kind of fun as well. So there are going to be a lot of differing opinions with that. I understand that. But personally, again, I was able to stick with that, and that was something.
There's a
I wanna
few
point out- Okay.
comments here talking about
Yeah.
Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yeah.
Which
I
I
still
would
need
have
to play
put
that.
as was one of my like most surprising moments. I feel
Yeah.
like I don't
So
care
good.
about Kirby. I could give two craps about that pink fluff ball, but Forgotten
Hey.
Land was like insane. How
Wait, hold
good
on.
that
The
game
guy who
was.
just created Kirby in Dragon's Dogma,
Yes.
not a fan.
Oh,
I want
man.
to point out a message in chat from a Tamale Muncher saying, "To be honest, I can agree with Dread." So there you go, Joey. They said, but for me, the highlight of the Switch was probably Xenoblade Chronicles 3, or the whole franchise number of games. Because yeah, outside of Xenoblade Chronicles X, the Wii U one, you could play that entire franchise on the Switch, and that's actually kind of incredible.
So you
That is
can't
a
play the
really
entire
great
franchise
series.
Switch. You can't play it on Switch because Xenoblade X is not on there. Damn it!
All the numbered ones that relate to each other, you could play.
Not the best one. I'm kidding. I don't know if it's the best. I just love that one.
I feel like a total idiot for ignoring the elephant in the room of the impact.
Mario Wonder?
Is Mario Kart. No, well, yes, actually, I love that game. Don't get me wrong, I really love that game. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, especially because of the DLC, the booster course pass.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but there was a lot of impact with that.
I was hesitant to name it because to me that's still like it's building off of the Wii U game. So I'm looking for like specifically Switch experience.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But because of that experience that we had with the DLC,
Right.
it almost became its own thing because of that. And yes, we do saw videos coming out, so those were like wondering, yeah, it's not canceled. So just making that clear.
The DLC reminded me of how much I wanted a new Mario Kart game. I'm like, I'm so sick of Mario Kart 8. Give me something new, Nintendo.
I just
10 years
need
of Mario Kart 8 now or something
10
like that?
years. Yeah, I just want you all to
Yep.
know that come May, we will have been playing the same Mario Kart for 10 years.
That is
10.
a record amount of time. That is
Insane.
incredible. The closest thing we've had to a new Mario Kart game was sorry, Tris, not Mario Kart Tour. It was a Mario Kart ride at Universal Studios Hollywood, Super Nintendo World.
What? Not Mario Kart, the
Home circuit?
Home circuit.
Yeah, home
Home
circuit. Thank you.
Although it's funny, Home Circuit is actually not all that far removed from the attraction. So,
Yeah.
real quick, Clifford, thank you for the heads up that super chats were turned off. I had no idea. I guess that happened when the channel was deleted or taken over.
Ah.
We've re-enabled them just now. Super chats work. So if you want to test them out, feel free. Go nuts. All right.
Andre,
So
what's your pick, Andre? You didn't
my
go there.
pick is, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if I would fully. Like, I don't know if it would hold up on replay, but in terms of my first playthrough, it would absolutely be Super Mario Odyssey. I
Yeah.
love that game.
Oh, yeah.
No game
Absolutely.
on the Switch has made me like tear up, and that game did it 3 times. And I just had a complete blast with it. Like, it's just such a fun, pure experience. Reminded me of why I play Mario games in the first place, and it really kind of took me back to the Mario 64 style era that we hadn't really had seen since that game. So it was awesome having it back. I had such a joyful experience. And I'm looking forward to maybe replaying it one of these days. So
Yeah, there's something about Odyssey and even Breath of the Wild that represented like a new era for Nintendo.
totally.
Like they're coming off of the absolute failure that was the Wii U, and I felt like during the Wii U era they just weren't doing a whole lot of listening. It's just like I wanted a 3D Mario that was like Odyssey, that was like Mario 64 and Sunshine. But then we got 3D World, and I was just like, this is fine. That's not what I wanted. And then Nintendo's just like, okay, here you go. And then bam, open world Zelda, bam, Super Mario Odyssey, dude.
Good
That was
point.
just, man, what a revelation it was.
And we had a whole new IP with ARMS as well. Like, that first year was such a banger year. Plus, Mario plus Rabbit, right, was year 1 as well, I think. So,
oh yeah.
really, really strong year. Real quick, we got a super chat. They work. Thank you so much, Taylor Plays, for the super chat.
Thank you.
They say my highlight of the Switch is Tears of the Kingdom. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX is a very close second.
Yeah.
Good picks.
I know I keep going down the list, but there's just a few things, like a few games that like really shocked me on Switch, like Luigi's Mansion 3. was just had no right to be as good as it was.
It
Like, I
was
knew
really
that
good.
Fantastic.
I knew it was going to be good, but when I picked it up, I didn't realize what a ride I was in for with that game. Wow, it's just pure. It's just visually stunning.
Yeah,
The
it
gameplay
was
is
done right.
fun.
It was
It's
done right.
just it's got those perfect Halloween vibes. I play it like
Yeah.
almost.
Music is
I gotta play it
excellent,
like
too.
every Halloween. Like, it's just so good.
I still replay the first one for Halloween.
Yeah.
That's my
Nice.
go-to.
We need that first one on Switch to make that even easier.
I know, right? We're gonna have everything but the first one. It's not fair.
Rude.
Yeah, it really is rude. But yeah, next level games. I'm excited to see what they end up doing next. Probably for Switch 2, I imagine.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I am hoping it is maybe another Luigi's Mansion. There was something new. I'm fine with that too. Maybe lay off Mario Strikers though. I think we're good on
Yeah,
that.
really.
Unless they want to make a better one than that one. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to redo it, retry it. Yeah. Anything else about Switch we want to touch on before we wrap it up here? Do we think it's going do we think Nintendo's going to drop it like a hot potato when Switch 2 comes out, or do you think they'll keep supporting it for a
I think
while?
they'll keep supporting it just for a little while,
bit,
because
a
like
bit.
especially if it's backwards compatible, the Switch 2 is.
Yeah.
So they'll like how we're still getting PS4 and Xbox
Yeah.
One games, and 4 years
Yeah.
later. Almost.
Backwards compatibility is the main question there. I could see for about a year we'll see some games that are exclusive to the new thing, but then some games that are like, oh, you could play it on both, but it runs a little bit better on the new one.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
And Metroid Prime 4 is probably going to be both Switch and the next console.
I have a whole
More
video
likely.
explaining why that can't
Yeah.
happen.
Can't? Oh, okay.
Why it should not happen, because
Well,
yeah.
Well, wait,
People
your
are
video
good
didn't
point,
necessarily mean it won't happen. It just means
Yeah,
they'll
I have a
want to
whole
switch
video
first.
explaining why it shouldn't happen. I'm not saying I'm not saying that Nintendo will follow logic here and listen to my video like they
Right.
should. But yeah, like it still wouldn't surprise me if they do that, because Nintendo just hates Metroid and wants it to fail.
Well, I think it could still launch on Switch 1 this year, and then still have benefits on Switch 2 whenever that
Okay,
launches.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
so when
Yeah.
I hear that, I automatically go to like Breath of the Wild and Twilight Princess, where it's just like you wait for it until the next console comes out, and I don't think they should do that. I think they should do what you guys suggested: is release on
Right.
Switch 1 first, and then Switch 2 later, because
That's-
it's just like
Yeah, I mean that's basically why I think Nintendo would be very silly to completely drop the Switch when Switch 2 launches. It is
Yeah.
such a massive demographic, and
Yeah.
people are still buying the system. Yeah, it's not selling as well as it did 3 or 4 years ago. It's still selling extremely well, though, all things considered.
Right.
And these are new players who aren't going to go out and buy the new system immediately, if not even for 4, 5, 6 years. So you should continue to cater them. Like, that is a built-in demographic that it would be stupid to cut them off at this point. And Nintendo has hopefully learned their lesson, because I've talked about this ad nauseum. And so have we on the channel. Like, every successive system Nintendo has had always sells less than the last one. Nintendo sucks at maintaining momentum between generations. So the best thing they can do is keep supporting the Switch, and now hopefully bring those people over to Switch 2 eventually as well. So
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, hopefully.
we got a super chat from Aiden Moore. Thank you, Aiden. It says, for your information, the last MatPat video is tomorrow. That's
Rest
right.
in
He
peace.
is retiring from YouTube, basically, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We were almost
Not
forced into
quite.
retirement. Our last video almost was last week. So.
Matthew Patrick is not going to be like quitting completely. It's more like he's no longer going to
Stepping
be
back.
the main host.
Right.
There's going to be 4 hosts, one for each of the Theory channels.
Oh,
I'll just
nice.
leave it at
Yeah,
that.
I don't follow Matt Pat, so
Yeah, same.
The most
Yeah.
I've seen of him in the last 10 years was in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
I've seen him more in person at like events like E3 than I have watched
I
his
met him.
videos. Yeah. Super chill dude, but
I don't think I've actually ever seen him in person, like at E3 or something. Or
yeah, I never like
E3
met him in
2015
person.
for me.
Yeah, I saw him in 2016 and 2018. I never like had a conversation with him though. I was just like, oh look, there's Matt Pat. Cool. There he is. There's the boy.
Clifford asks, will you stream again today, Game Explained? I mean, probably not, but you never know for sure. Like, we weren't expecting that Peach demo, so if something else happens, like a Luigi's Mansion demo or something, we'll be there for it.
Ooh.
But this probably will be the last stream for the day, but, you never know for sure, so...
I do remember early in a stream, I think some were asking if we had any streaming plans for Mario Day.
Yeah, that's a Sunday, so that's...
That's the Lord's Day. We can't stream on the Lord's Day.
Well, it is Mario. It's Mario's Day. We covered this,
Right.
There's a possibility, but if one of us is around and able to, we may Probably not, but you never know. But there's also the chance that there may be other things happening too. There have been rumors of new trailers for Luigi's Mansion 2 and Thousand Year Door. So if those do end up happening, we'd like to be covering that instead. So
Yep.
Right. But you never know. So
I may in Discord. We'll see how that goes. Like how everything falls into place. But I may do something in Discord on our
in the Game Explain Discord
in the Game
specifically,
Explain
right?
Discord, yeah.
But speaking of which, let me see.
There you go. There's a segue.
Yeah, let me grab an invite for you all. If you're not in the Game Explain Discord, let's fix that. If you want in, I'm grabbing it right now. I'm narrating.
While you're grabbing it, Flapjack says Joey keeps talking like that, and the Lord will freeze your internet again.
I know Nintendo already got you, Joey. That's
right.
Whoa,
The
whoa.
Nintendo ninjas just don't like me today.
all right. There we go, chat. If you want to join the Game Explain Discord, I just posted a link in the chat. Hopefully that link works, and it should get you right in. So
Very nice.
yeah. Chat, anything? How about you? I know some of you gave your favorite games. Is there anything else about the Switch, though, that you're appreciating on its 7th anniversary as we now enter its 8th year
Yeah,
that we
like
haven't covered yet?
like Joy-Con drift, maybe.
Joy-Con?
Oh,
Oh my god.
no.
A couple of friends came over a few days ago, and we were trying to play Mario Party Superstars, and finding a controller that didn't freaking drift is a complete nightmare. Actually, Super Mario Party, sorry. Complete nightmare, because it requires the Joy-Cons as well. The controller's most prone to drifting, of course. And that's absolutely the thing they need to fix more than anything on Switch 2. If I have drift again, I'm done. I'm out. I can't handle it.
Right.
Just get third-party controllers or something.
I mean, seriously, like the ones,
Right.
what's that technology they have now that doesn't have the
Hall
drifting?
effect.
Yeah. Nintendo
Right.
better use that.
Yeah, really though.
Oh, actually, here's something. Lucas says, even though we don't have Mother 3, I'm happy they're acknowledging the Mother series more. Yeah, actually, because that whole thing, we had the so they added some icons from Mother 3 in Japan, which hilariously, if you tried using outside of Japan, it would just completely break NSO. Luckily, they fixed that pretty quick.
They fixed it quick, thankfully.
Yeah,
Right.
but that I know it is nice to see Nintendo supporting Mother. It sucks that, of course, anyone outside Japan still can't really play Mother 3, at least officially in English or outside or in something other than Japanese.
Yeah.
So
I can't even get the icons because if I try switching, it just says, "Hey, if you have a balance or anything going on here, you can't do it." Like,
Yeah, you
oh,
have to
shoot,
clear
what
your whole
happened?
balance. Like there's so many steps to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, RCSZ. That name's a tongue twister. Arciza.
It's good to be back. We're happy to be back. It was scary not being back, but
Yes.
here we are. So, yeah. Real quick, will we ever see Mother 3 in English from Nintendo? No.
No.
The fact that they're like so insistent on putting Mother 3 anywhere but Japan tells me everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Reggie burned somebody over that.
Literally,
Yes.
straight up melted them like Raiders of the Lost Ark style. So, Disney World Vacationer, love that name, says, "Yeah, Joey."
Oh, hold
I
on.
agree, that's why-
There's a part one to that comment.
Oh, there is a part one.
oh,
Okay.
oh.
Let's,
Yeah, because I might have misread it too. I don't know where it is. Disney. Okay, he says, or they say, it depends on analytics. Does having Metroid Prime 4 not on Switch help Switch 2 sell more than how much the Switch version will make? Okay, I was reading this out loud. I don't quite understand it, but I basically replied, I don't think so, but I don't know if I said the right thing. I just feel like releasing it. I just feel like releasing it like the same day as the Switch 2 would not benefit it, or even launch window. I kind of just feel like it would just be better just release it on the Switch like this year before the Switch 2 comes out, especially if it's not ready. That's one thing, right? But if it is ready, like rumors suggest, dude, like just make it the swan song for the Switch. Oh, there's not going to be a Pokemon this year. What are you waiting for?
What's the big
Nintendo?
title? That's the thing. We don't know what that big title is this
That's
year.
true.
They have to have one, right?
Yeah,
And they have
you
to
would
announce
think.
it soon, theoretically.
Yeah.
Right.
I just feel like that makes sense, and not just because I want it so bad and I can't stand waiting, but also
Because
that.
I'll obviously get a whole video about this, but what's the crux of your argument, Joey? Why would it be a mistake to launch it on Switch 2?
Because if you're launching on Switch 2, it's just like, what other games are launching on Switch 2? Mario Kart 9, Mario Odyssey 2, Mario this, Mario that. They're just
Think it'll be
they're gonna
overshadowed?
Yeah, it would totally get overshadowed.
It'll be like the
That's-
Palowing 64, the Mario 64.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, Nintendo. It'd be one thing if Nintendo launched the Switch 2 with like barely any games, and Metroid Prime 4 was a big one, but they're never going to do that because
That would
Metroid Prime
also
4.
that would also be a whole different problem entirely, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And they want people buying this thing like day one because they know I think they know it's not going to sell as much as the Switch 1 because there's over 100, there's almost like 150 million people owning a Switch 1. Why are they going to upgrade to a Switch 2 right away? Like, that's what I think, really.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the main issue is that Metroid Prime doesn't really seem to be a system seller. Now, it hasn't been fully tested, but it seems unlikely given the sales history of the platform. And the only way I could possibly seeing it being a system seller is if it's something so different and so new that's even barely a Metroid title anymore. You know?
Right.
That wouldn't make you happy either, Joey. So
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's something people are coming around to too. I've noticed like the common consensus over the past few years was like, yeah, it'll be a dual release with Switch 1 and Switch 2, like Breath of the Wild and Twilight Princess was. But now that it's been so freaking long, we're kind of like, okay, maybe it'd be wise to just release it on the Switch 1. It's gonna look and run great anyway. See Metroid Prime Remastered, like seriously,
that game looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Like you honestly, if you told me that was like a PS5 game, like aside from maybe the lack of like, you know, real-time lighting, I would probably believe it. It looks so freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
So
insane.
All right. Well, I think we're going to about wrap it up there. We're at the hour mark exactly on the dot. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us for our return to Pipeline after a week hiatus because of our channel being hacked and terminated. But it's good to be back with all of you. And we'll be back as well, at the least, next Friday with more Pipeline. And perhaps, and sooner, of course, on Twitch with our Mario Kart, Mario Luigi, and Mario Party streams, and maybe even more if there's other things to cover here on the channel. So thanks for watching, everyone. We appreciate you all being here. And, of course, stay tuned to Game Explain for more on Mario Day and whatever else happens today and through the weekend. So on that note, we'll catch you later. Happy 7th anniversary, everyone, for the Switch. Bye.
Until next time. Ciao.
See ya later.